Hello everybody, my name is James, hope you're doing well and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about some penalty updates following qualifying in Baku, as well as some comments following Ferrari's performance in Quali. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Formula 1 content. Also make sure to follow me on X at James's Pit Lane, I'll leave a link in the description, but let's jump straight into the video. So let's start with Ferrari, and well, it just wasn't meant to be for Ferrari in Baku. As we know, they were fast in practice. In free practice 2, Lewis Hamilton was topping the timesheets and Charles Leclerc was in P2. The team also looked fast on Saturday morning practice, but yeah, you get to qualifying and it just wasn't meant to be for Ferrari, with Hamilton down in 12th place and Leclerc only going 10th. Now, as for Leclerc, the reason he's in P10 is because in Q3 he crashed into the barriers at turn 15 on his first attempt after locking up and failing to make the corner. And as for Hamilton, he just did not make the cut for Q3. Now, what was interesting about qualifying was the mix of soft and medium tyres being used. Multiple drivers felt the medium tyres were faster than the softs. But Ferrari chased a Q3 spot for Hamilton with soft tyres, but as I say, he failed to make the cut, and Hamilton felt the medium tyre was just faster, with Hamilton saying after qualifying, as quoted by Planet F1, the medium tyre was just much quicker. The team chose to run me on the medium in Q2, and Charles was meant to run its second run in Q2, but then, because everyone else wasn't out on them, we opted to keep it. And then all the top 10 basically had 3 mediums. We knew that the medium was quicker by, they said it was about 3/10 or something like that, and it felt great, and we should have run it in Q2. Now, one thing to note about qualifying in Baku is that there was a lot of wind as well, and that was making it tricky for the drivers out on track. And asked if the gusty winds around Baku were a contributing factor to his unsuccessful final lap, Hamilton said, no. One of the things that kind of factored into it was a bit of direction the team were pushing for us to go with some of the setup. That didn't feel as good as FP2, but I felt we made a lot of progress and we were really looking strong. I think we didn't make any mistakes. It's just then, because I was on the back foot with only 2 mediums, we're thinking of having 2 mediums in Q3 when you've got to get to Q3 first, so ultimately just not the best execution, so definitely disappointed, but lots of positives to take. But let's move on to Kimi Antonelli, and well, he had a really good qualifying in Baku. It did not look like it go too well in Q1. As we know, there were lots of red flags and we got to 6 minutes left in Q1 and Antonelli still hadn't set a time. But he ended up getting through to Q3 and he qualified in P4, so a really good job from Antonelli. But he was investigated after qualifying. Basically, he was looked at by the stewards for overtaking 2 cars under yellow flags during the first part of qualifying in Baku. But Antonelli has avoided a grid penalty and instead has been handed a reprimand, the stewards said in their verdict. The driver of car 12 was not shown a yellow flag or yellow light panel. However, his dash did very briefly display a yellow indication which then disappeared. The driver passed 2 cars, then the team advised him to abandon the lap, as there was concern that perhaps there was a double yellow flag condition when in fact there was not. The driver then abandoned the lap. No sporting advantage was gained in view of the mitigating circumstances, and consistent with previous similar incidents, a reduced penalty of a reprimand is imposed. But finally, let's move on to Esteban Ocon. Now, Ocon did not have the best qualifying in Baku, with him only going 18th fastest. And to make it worse for Ocon, his car failed the rear wing plane tip deflection test after qualifying, so his Haas has been deemed illegal and therefore he was disqualified from qualifying for the technical infringement. The steward said the FIA representatives described the test procedure used and reported that the distance between the 2 sections of RVRW profiles and RVRW tip inboard of y = 525 varied by more than the permitted 0.5 mm, 0.6 mm on the left side and 0.825 mm on the right side. The calibration of the measuring instrument was verified and valid. The team conceded that the test procedure as outlined in the regulations had been followed and explained that the discrepancy was a result of a problem with the production of the assembly of this specific part. The stewards determine that the vehicle does not comply with the regulations and hence impose the usual penalty of disqualification from the qualifying classifications. But that's going to be the video from me today. Thank you ever so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos, and until the next one, take care. Bye.